All right, so what we'll do is, if at any time you have any problems viewing the screen or audio, just please, again, type in, let us know. But we're going to get started. The first slide here is just kind of talking about the outline of how this webinar will go. We're going to talk about what stress is, which I'm sure none of you have in your life, so this is, just going to be, I don't really need this. But we're going to talk about what stress is, maybe the little stressors, the big stressors, things like that. The relationship between stress and exercise. That's where I'll come in as fitness specialist. Exercise as a coping mechanism, and then turning that coping mechanism into regular exercise, okay? And it kind of seems confusing right now, but it'll make sense. I'm going to start off talking about stress in the sense of from the non-expert. Life is filled with it, big and small. I love it when I sit down with a pre-consult with people and I ask them, well, what stresses you out? And they say, I don't have much stress in my life. And I say, really? Could you help me with that? Because tons of big and small stressors. Examples of every day, emails, telephone calls, conversations that I have on that telephone, things that I just go through my daily routine that I might not think are stressing me out but can add up over a big chunk of time. Or examples of big stressors, finances at home, relationships, responsibilities, tons of things that can weigh on us every day. Does that seem about right?
That is about right. It's a good way to think about it. We have stressors, which are things that happen to you, and then stress is the reaction that you have. The way we usually think about it, and you can think about stress, is do your demands exceed your resources? So we have all these demands, and Brett listed small ones, which we often call daily hassles. They come on, what are your daily hassles? And those can have real strong effects on you. People say, well, I'm not stressed. I got a bunch of little things. Little things can add up. Then we have the big events where things happen to you, which we talk about life events.
Yeah, but affects how? Like what actually happens in the body when I have stress?
Well, you can tell me what happens.
Okay. Is it my cortisol levels? I've heard of this cortisol thing, and it can be dangerous, and it can lead to all these different things, but so can not exercising. So.
Yeah, this is the right, cortisol level goes up, and catecholamines go up. Now, what happens in your body? There's a wonderful book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. That's because we're back on the plane, the zebra's chased by a lion, boom, the cortisol goes up, the catecholamines go up. It's a wonderful thing because you have to run away. Those stress hormones send all the blood to your muscles, away from your core, shut down your brain, because you don't want to be thinking when somebody's chasing you. Also suppress your immune system because we need to have that energy coming forward. It's great for running away. Now the zebra, what do? They run away. They're right back to normal afterwards. That's not what happens to us.
So when I'm reading an email and I'm stressed out, what happens?
The same exact response.
Really?
If you're being chased by there. You see that you get a bad email, and this is actually in the literature. People have studied this. Email itself is a stressor sometimes, which we all know. You can get miscommunication or requests from a boss. Your stress hormones go up just like you're being chased, but it's going to your muscles, so it goes away from your brain, and that sits there. And when we're bathing, think about this. We're bathing in stress hormones all day long. And those truncate your neurons in your brain. They age the body, suppress your immune system. Stress is a terrible thing in terms of health effects.
And it can also lead to things that we definitely don't want to do.
And then not only is it harming your body, but there's this where we get into this relationship why stress and exercise are so related, because it has to do, stress is preparing your body to move. But we also look at, well, what do we do when we are stressed? We all have coping mechanisms, and the literature is pretty strong on this. It's a wonderful thing. I do this myself. We eat higher fat diets, more fast food, the more stress you have with smoking, the more we want to drink. And it's pretty strong in the literature that if you have a lot of stress,
less likely to listen to the Brett as the expert on fitness, right? I'm not going to move
very much. You're not going to move, and we have lower levels of physical activity. So this wonderful stress-exercise relationship is more stress, means lower activity. But more activity means lower stress. It goes both ways in that conundrum.
So exercise and stress, the relationship here is, I often tell people when I sit down with a consult and we want to get more movement out of them, and I'll say, you're training that physical body. You know, we're strengthening the muscles, or we're improving the cardiovascular system. Well, we're also training all the other systems of our body when we exercise. And we train more than just the muscles or that cardiovascular system. We help our nervous system, our endocrine system, our digestive system, which then helps our stress, you know, right? You were talking about hormones of stress and different things. If I train my body with exercise, that should be able to help with my stress levels, right?
This is, I look at the literature, and it's a wonderful thing. People who are fit and people who do exercise and move, their bodies respond better to stress.
Okay.
So let's take our scenario with the email. If you're a fit person, you exercise a lot, you move a lot, your body is not only healthier, obviously, but your systems communicate better with each other. Your nervous system, your immune system, your endocrine system, and this literature being showed. So psychologically, you might be stressed, but your body is trained to handle that stress, because exercise does the same thing. When we exercise, our stress hormones go up because we want to send messages to our muscles. But now your body's working well. So
even if I'm doing exercise just for my looks, I'm still getting all these benefits.
You're getting the benefits. Good. And you're getting the, you know, I'm interested in people, you know, being resilient, building their resources for stress. Sure. And folks who exercise, their bodies in particular, even when we all have thoughts in dealing with stress, but your body responds more appropriately to stress, so that all these bad outcomes tend not to happen as much, even though you're stressed. That you're responding to stress well.
And the first way that you're going to be able to put exercise into stress, or the way I do it, is I need to address my mood. I need to know how I am affected by the stresses of my everyday life. Am I affected by those emails? Am I affected by those phone calls? Or when my supervisor tells me something that didn't go right, or whatever it may be, I need to rate that mood or that stress. I need to identify the level of intervention that I may need and the type. So, hey, maybe it's, I know every 10 emails I'm going to need some kind of intervention, because I know 10 emails is my limit. You know, and I might need to get up and move for a little bit or do something like that. How else do you have people rate their mood?
Well, we do rate stress. First, we rate our stress.
Okay.
You know, there's all these wonderful apps for those who have phones now. You know how we track our exercise, we track our eating. There are stress apps that you track what is stressful. So you have to figure out what's stressful. There's also things where you rate your mood, up and down, things how you're at the moment. But I do tell people to imagine tracking your stress, for how stressful is your day on a scale of 1 to 10. I do this. You know, I look at myself. I might not exercise as much, but I do track my stress. And I look at where I am over the course of the week. And when I see myself on a 1 to 10 scale, anything above 7 is considered high stress, where 10 is high. And if I see several days in a row of 8, 9, 8, I have to step back and say, well, what's going on here?
Sure.
And it's always good to do that, so that you're able to identify that stressor. But also, you know, that's the stress. But then you have to do your emotional response. So
and as the exercise person, what I would tell people is, during those, or even you, if we were talking and you're like, hey, I know during my moments of high stress, maybe I should go out and get some movement. I should go out and move a little bit. And it doesn't have to be long bouts of activity. I don't have to go to the gym for 45 minutes to decrease that stress, right?
Right.
I mean, in the exercise community, we have research on the short bouts versus long bouts of activity. And short bouts of activity can be just as beneficial as long bouts of activity if done in certain heart rate ranges and whatever else it may be. But can I use exercise and not even think about the fitness benefits? Can it just be for the stress benefits?
I love that approach.
Okay.
That's exactly, you know, we might even take the word exercise out of it.
Yeah.
Let's just call it movement.
Oh, cool.
Or activity. And you're exactly right. When you're keeping track of your stress, that one of the first things I tell people is using workstations or getting out, walking around, moving is a wonderful way. It has multiple benefits, but number one, it distances you from whatever that mood is.
Okay.
You can go right to move. You know, it's a wonderful activity to do in the context. I like how you talk about short bouts.
Yeah.
Planned can also just, we just kind of getting into this, be preemptive. I know I'm going to be stressed coming up over my
Sure.
day, so I want to build my energy.
Because I want to be able to do the 45 minutes at the end of my day, right?
Yes.
If I keep my energy up and I keep that up all day long, I may be more productive at the end of the day.
So if you look on this slide, Brett's brought in the word energy coming out today. High stress to maintain energy throughout the day. And that, to me, is the third component of stress. Because we talk about what are your demands, and that's identifying your stressor. We identify, well, what do I want to do,
Sure.
you know, in terms of coping with stress. And the third one is I often hear people say, I know what to do, I just don't have any energy to do it. So we can use movement to help build energy so that we're able to cope. Because a lot of times people have a pretty good idea of what they should do. This is myself included. If I'm wiped out, if I've had a difficult day, I don't do the right thing.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, this slide shows it right here. If I know I get into the office and I'm going to answer 10 emails right away, or I'm going to have 20 emails waiting for me, I know that maybe I'll answer those emails and get up and just move my body for a minute or two, just to move around, to clear my head after that stressful experience, right? And that can keep my emotional level positive. I plan that short bout of movement, and notice it doesn't say exercise here, it says movement.
Right.
I plan that movement around that stressful time when I know my mood will be not as good.
Right, or that's a wonderful idea. We're building in, you know, you're identifying your stressor. It's probably the thing I recommend most when we're dealing with stressful situation is movement.
Not smoking, right?
I've listened, well, drinking, you know, we have a tendency to reach for food, but the literature shows it is the most effective thing when we're stressed, like movements, to get up and move. Now, what often happens if I'm in a room speaking or talking about stress, people who are not moving will sometimes say, that's really hard to do, and it is, but it is effective. So, you know, making that leap, we know from the literature, movement and stress are so intertwined. The more we move, the less stressed we are, the better we handle stress, the better we plan.
We keep that emotional level up, right?
We want to keep our emotions good so that we're able to do that.
Okay. When me and John have been talking, and the big things is that I would plan, activities that you could do that would help with that stress is plan a route around your building, maybe a route in your building. Maybe you take the stairs up one floor and you walk around and then you come back down the stairs, or some kind of activity that will help right at work. Maybe going for a run or going for a bike. These are biking trips. These are things that will add one to, you know, your stress, help reduce your stress level, but also maybe increase your fitness level as well. Yoga, meditation. That's something people can do, right, where they can do it right at their desk, a meditation.
It's often hard, but we work on it to do it at your desk.
Okay.
Meditation is a very good thing to do.
But if I'm sitting in a cubicle with a lot of people, it might be a little bit tougher, right?
We've tried this myself. You know, I'll have a little reminder on my computer that will have the chime to remind me to meditate, but usually I don't. I use that to get up and go.
Okay.
I hit chime. So
To get up and move and do
Get
your
up and
plan of
move.
walking route or whatever
Right,
it may be. Group sports are also great. Anything that could be, doesn't have to be competitive, but as long as it may be structured. Tennis, playing catch with someone. We had a ping pong tournament right here in the office that John beat me in. I mean, just getting up and moving and not thinking, hey, well, this activity, how is this activity benefiting my overall cardiovascular health? It's, how is this activity just helping me get through my day?
thinking about it as stress relief.
Yes, thinking about it, and that's what takes us to thinking about it as a coping strategy.
Right.
You know, and I think I wanted you to talk a little bit about that coping strategy, because you have a lot of these coping strategies for people, but how is exercise working into that?
It's the number one thing we talk about here. So if we'll give a little review here, Brett and I talked about how stress provokes physical and psychological arousal. Our demands exceed our resources. Exercise is a resource. It's building up your margins so that we're able to cope. You want more resources. And usually when we're stressed, we try to reduce that through coping. We have lots of coping. Exercise, eating, smoking, we talked about. And exercise is the best way to cope with stress. But it's often difficult, as I said. I like to think of exercise that way because that's what I'm trying to do. As Brett says, I'm not thinking about getting fit or thin or healthy. I just want to reduce my stress. And I think of exercise as a coping mechanism.
I think it's just sometimes it's daunting for people when they're like, I have to think of this exercise as I have to be fit, I have to be this certain weight. Whereas if we look at it in a different light, like you're saying, like coping, I think it would help.
It's very much. It's because we know, number one, it's a great way to reduce stress. Number one thing I recommend. But obviously for many people, myself included, might not be my first choice for coping. There are other things that I want to do. So what I like to think about, if we're just thinking about coping behaviors, because I'm always thinking about reducing stress, I'm not thinking about fitness so much, which over here, that can we pair exercise with other ways of coping? That I've got, what do I like to do for, reduce my stress? So if you look at the slide, exercise can be paired with a lot of things. I'm a very social person. I like to talk.
If you couldn't tell.
I like to do things in groups. I like that. So I really look for team sports or group walking activities. Active U is great when we can all do it together. And so I'm thinking of pairing socialization, which social support also reduces stress. Talking with somebody reduces stress. So now I'm getting the synergy, the double whammy of exercise and socialization. Brett and I have talked about how if you plan your exercise, if you like time management, planning your day, fitting exercise in can really help structure your day and help you be better at time management.
Sure. If you're one of those people that likes to check things off a list or plan my day completely, I often tell people that that's how exercise gets done. When people are like, I don't know how I'm going to fit in 30 minutes a day of exercise, I say, well, you're never going to fit in it if you don't plan it into your day. It'll never be there if you don't plan it.
And the way I think about it, if you like to plan, because planning helps you reduce stress, exercise is another way to help you reduce stress. We have to get the two. And then obviously we talked about all the positive emotions.
Sure.
And we talk positive emotions are great to build energy and reduce stress. And exercise, and some of the literature on endorphins, you got to do too much. That's little out there as far as evidence, but there's plenty of evidence that exercise boosts mood.
Well, I do know with exercise, and I often tell this to people, is if I get up from my desk for 2 minutes and I come back and sit down at my desk, I sometimes think a little more clear because I've walked around, because those endorphins have cycled. Now, that's different than a 45-minute workout where I'm making someone's muscles sore, but it can help with that coping mechanism, definitely.
It's just taking a break that I try to get positive emotions all throughout the day because they're energizing.
Sure.
And a little, walking up and down the stairs here we're at Wolverine Tower. It goes up to the 10th. I'm usually huffing by the time I get up there, but it's a beautiful view, and I'm enjoying myself, and that little change makes me work better. We talked about also we talked about meditation and mindfulness.
Sure.
Some folks, I know some of the folks here who are yoga folks, it's very hard to sit, and they do walking meditations, running meditations, and some people, unlike me, who like to do big groups and socialize, really enjoy that personal time where you can pair the meditation and thinking
with the physical activity.
And both of those, the physical activity itself and the mindfulness, reduce your stress. So if people are interested in mindfulness, I said, have you thought about doing walking meditations, because then you're getting double the benefit.
And then exercise and better sleep, there is a lot of good research that promote, hey, if I exercise more, I actually end up just sleeping better without even thinking about it, right?
We have to sleep for stress reduction. If we're not sleeping, our stress hormones go up. We're less able to deal with the day. And I used to work with stress, do a lot of sleep education. And much like with stress, I can talk about all the things we recommend in terms of sleep hygiene, but they're not as effective as moving your body at getting to sleep, which is what we found. If you
But how does that work? Does that make me more tired, or is there anything on that, or is it just saying that because I move more, I sleep a little bit better?
That's pretty much we know. We don't know if the movement reduces your stress, and the lower stress lets you sleep more, or just rather the movement is able to sleep. We do know that people who move more tend to have better sleep than those who try lots of other things that we recommend, during the evening to help you get to bed. Cool. So exercise is a great way to.
So notice here in the main slide, exercise can be paired with all these different mechanisms of coping. It really is probably the best way to deal with stress.
Right, and if you, whatever your other coping styles are, it's a way to get into exercise. Yeah. This is what I'm interested in. This helps me manage stress, and I'm going to pair movement and exercise with that.
With my socialization, with that walk with colleagues, or in the time management thing, whatever.
I'm just thinking about feeling better and less about fitness. These really help you feel better.
I think this kind of just recaps what we've been talking about, but focusing on reducing stress will help you exercise more. So if I constantly tell people, don't think about the daily movement as helping your fitness. Think about it as I plan it here to train for the stuff I want to do later.
The last thing you want is, and this has happened to me because I'm not a fitness person, I got to exercise. Yes. It's another stressor.
Yes.
And if I'm thinking about exercise as another stress in my life, I'm less likely to do it.
Exactly.
Because you always give the message, sometimes we have to start. And so I think about, whenever I want to exercise, I think about who do I get to talk to.
Perfect.
Because that gets me moving.
Cool. And monitoring your energy during the day, I think, is a big thing. I've often told people to journal how they feel after they go for a small movement. Like if they go walk, journal how they feel when they get back, or when they left, hey, I was really stressed out, and when I get back, I have some more energy now. And that may help me towards the end of the day. It creates that upward spiral of this positive emotion towards exercise, towards my day, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and this is the upward spiral where if we do 2 things or 3 things together, then exercise just becomes a part of our life rather than a focus, a stressor, a focus on fitness. It's what we do to feel better all around.
Mm-hmm. So this is kind of, how do I turn what we just talked about as exercise as a coping strategy, but how do I turn that into daily exercise? And the way it happens is turning those small bouts of enjoyable movement. So often I'll tell people, just start with 10 minutes a day of exercise. Start with 10 minutes, and that can turn then into an exercise routine by saying, hey, I really like these enjoyable stairs that I do, or these walks that I have with my colleagues, and that turns into now, let's do it 3 times a week, and it turns into a 20-minute walk, or we get together after work and go to the gym, or whatever it may be. But I plan those small bouts, and they flourish into bigger bouts. So what was happening with the coping strategy, now I'm fulfilled on the fitness end where I'm getting people to exercise more, which is what I want.
Which is a wonderful thing, because it's building that upward spiral that the more pleasurable and the more effective our movement is.
Yes.
So, as I said, when I like team sports and socialization, the more I do of that, the more I want to move. I'll be running to the gym to play ping pong, to exercise, because that's me. But I find I'm moving a lot more, which is what we want from a fitness perspective. It has so many benefits that we need to do more of it.
And again, with keeping your mood positive, keeping that, if you like time management and planning, all those things can really help.
Yeah.
And that can turn from the coping into now I do a regular exercise program because I do 5 days a week of this, and it helps me plan, and it just all meshes together.
It's serving multiple purposes, so we're not siloing our exercise as something separate from our coping with stress. That I never like to put, here's my workout is separate from my life.
Because then it seems like a job I have to do on top of my other job.
Yeah, we do not want to make it a job.
So what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to any questions. We got a couple minutes left here. If you want to type in questions, that would be great. And we'll answer anything you have for the last 5 minutes here, and then we'll talk about what's coming up next. Feel free to type in at any time. Question that I do think we had was, you say movement is great for stress management, right? You
Yeah,
said that?
we do.
But the thought of it stresses me out. The thought of doing that, Brett told me to do 3 days of movement per week. He wants me to do that, but that stresses me out.
This is what we just talked about. That's a good question somebody have, that this interplay between stress and exercise. I know exercise will be good for reducing my stress, but I'm so stressed that I don't want to exercise, and the exercise itself is a stressor, which is why we want to think of it not in terms of a stressor. We want to think of it as coping, and can I pair that with something else? You know, that does. We don't want it to make it to do. You want to make it a benefit. Okay. And coping, we think of, you remember, let's go back, is exercise a demand or a resource? Because the resources help us build our capacity to build your reservoir of energy, so coping should help. Exercise should be viewed as coping, because when we do exactly that, we sometimes think, if I think of exercise as a demand, nobody wants more demand.
If I just tell you you should do this, that's one of the first things I ask people with exercise. I say, if you just tell me you should do exercise, that doesn't mean you're going to do it. Like, we should do a lot of things in our life, but we don't. Right. It's, why do I do this? It helps me cope. It helps me do these different things. Any other questions? One question I often get is, how much exercise is necessary to get benefits from this? Like, do I have to do 5 minutes? Do I have to do 10 minutes? Like, how much is necessary for me to get benefits as a coping strategy and as health benefits?
Well, that's
you do the coping, I'll do the health.
Right, yeah, you can, from a coping perspective, minimal amount, move. Yeah. It has benefits, as we talked about. Get up, those small steps are wonderful things. I get up and walk down the hallway for 2 minutes, and it really changes my mood, changes my perspective. My body feels better.
Now, it might not work for everybody, so it's more finding what's good for you, right?
Yeah, finding what's good for you, but all types of movement are beneficial. You know, you brought that up in the short term, but if we do those over the course of a day, this is all this literature on taking breaks in movement is really quite strong in helping stem the tide of the stress storm we often have at work. Yeah. We want to keep that cortisol down, but I don't know. You know, you said, what is enough to get a real
health benefit? Well, the research shows to get a real health benefit, what we're looking for is at least 10 minutes. To get up and walk for 10 minutes to get your heart rate into a good, and that's the physiology of our target heart rate. If I'm walking for the benefit of my cardiovascular system, yes, I want to get that heart rate up. I want to make sure I'm doing a good 10-minute stint of exercise. But that can add up. So if I do 3 10-minute stints a day, that gives me 30 minutes. And that's the same as going to the gym one time for 30 minutes.
See, I really
exactly the same.
I like that story because I can build from 2 minutes to 10.
Yes. It's hard to build from 2 to 30.
But actually, I think it's easier. The hard one for me is the start, to go from 0 to 2.
Sure.
And once I'm at 2, I can work on getting to 10, and then to 30.
Exactly.
But I have to, I keep thinking, what will get you from 0 to the 2 can be stress relief. Just think of movement as stress relief.
I often get asked, what if I can't get up from my desk? Because some people, they can't move. They can't get up from their desk. They're on the phone, they're whatever it is.
Well, it's a good question. We work on that. I know people do chair exercises and training for that. We have worked on, it's hard for me, is to take your breaks.
Yes. Don't skip your breaks. I always tell people that.
And I know that's hard in some work environments that it does that. So we do have difficult situations that call for creativity and recognizing that.
Well, if there's any final questions, please type them in. It is 12:30, so we can take one more if there need be, but if not, we will sign off. And next time, you guys can expect to hear 2 more people talking about getting an exercise program started, and then how do I keep it going? Like, yeah, I can get it started over the course of 2 weeks or so, but then I often find myself not going or falling off. And next week, what we'll do is talk about strategies to keep it going, to keep those behaviors where you want them to be.
And that's really important.
I totally agree.
That kind of, this is a great series that to finish up where, you know, you're talking about, I'm not the fitness person here, so I'm enjoying this. What will get me to keep it going?
Yes.
And to step that up, which I'm conceptualizing what's reducing my stress. I'm not even thinking about fitness. So but it's a good, you know, we all need that little push and a little help.
I think the overall goal today was just move.
Just move.
Just move. I mean, exercise doesn't have to be this daunting thing that everyone is thinking about. So
Thinking about it as stress relief.
Yes.
Part of your life.
Exactly. Thank you for attending, and next week, same time, again, keep getting it started and keeping it up. So thank you very much, and have a good day.